All right, Joe Smart Knight. Let's get into crafting 201 or episode 2 or whatever. This is where things actually get interesting. And the prerequisite for this class is that you've actually made a full set of legendary hunter gear. You've learned how to craft, and you've gotten some materials, and you've crafted this set. It has no rare components in it. You then ask, what's next? What can I hunt for? What can I do? Now things get set specific. And there's a couple sets we want to talk about at once. And they're basically what the sets are. There is a gunslinger set, even though my advice right off the bat is don't go for the gunslinger set at all. When you end up with the mats, just go ahead and make it, but don't go for it. There's no point. There's no benefit. It's not a great set. It doesn't have rare mats that you want to hunt. You'll just kind of eventually have it. The sets you want to go for are the Sentinel set, which is mostly for defense, the Arbiter set, which is mostly for offense, and it's the first big offensive level 40 set in the game, and the Winged Assassin, which is the next major offensive set that unlocks. And these three sets are pretty much, they're all good, they're all hard to get, they all have rare components, they all take a lot of investment, and let's go through them really quickly. Everything you go to build going to have some basic shit. Royal Fabric, basic shit. Carbon Steel, basic shit. You're going to get plenty of legendaries of these before you ever come close to these. Coeurl Whiskers are rare, and Prismatic Shards are rare. There's actually 1/3 rare component for the Arbiter set, and that's Meteorites. Those are also very rare. With the Winged Assassin set, plumages are very common. You're going to find that Sky Stones are rare, Swift Silk is rare, and the Vorpal Steel is rare. In different pieces in the set will require different rare bits. So if you get lucky and you have 2 out of 3, by all means make the one piece you can make. But I'll get into advice in just a little minute. In Sentinel, Chrome bits are rare and Garula fur are rare. I don't recall if there's a 3rd rare piece here. Mystic Dye is kind of rare, but I have a good amount anyway. Regardless, just understand what the rare pieces are, and then we'll talk for a minute on how to get them. Now, generally speaking, each set of gear has a monster that corresponds to it. So when you farm Flans, you're supposed to get Arbiter stuff. If you click on the Flan, it's going to show you, you get Arbiter stuff. Ooh. But that's only half true, because almost everything you pull out of a dungeon is going to be non-rare components. So no matter how much you farm Flan, let's say instead of farming whatever, you farm exclusively Flans, and you farm them to the highest level you can farm them. And let's actually just go ahead and talk about research really quick. You need to get this crafting, and you need to get loot tile luck. Loot tile gathering luck. It sounds wonderful. It sounds like you're going to get better loot out of loot tiles. Well, even with 10 out of 10 loot tile luck, I virtually never find rare components in monster layers. And I'm 38 now. There's another loot tile luck at 40. In the economics, and I'm really looking forward to maybe with 2 loot tile lucks, I'll start getting rares out of loot tiles. That would change a lot, but in the meantime, that's not what happens. The second one of these Garula tiles, they give you the Sentinel set stuff, plus of course all the normal stuff, and then there are Sea Devils, and Sea Devils give you, I know there's one up here somewhere because I just killed it. Sea Devils give you the components for the Winged Assassin set. So right off the bat, if you farm the corresponding set, you're supposed to get more of the rare component you're looking for. But that's only sort of true. In reality, you might accumulate a couple more gray, a couple more white, and let's say eventually with all that harvesting, you may have added up to 1 green piece. And that's going to take a long time. But your goals are quite different when you get into the second wave of crafting. Your goal now is to get yourself a combat set. And basically, I think, personally, you should settle for a green or a blue in every slot as quick as you can get it. And you should absolutely mix and match your pieces between the Winged Assassin, the Arbiter, and the Sentinel set. If you've got a little bit of each, so you have, say you can make a blue of each, don't think in terms of, oh man, I wish I had a full set of blue Arbiter. There's no point. Make a blue Arbiter, make a blue Sentinel piece, make a blue Winged Assassin piece, and then every time you're ready for an upgrade, look at what piece you can possibly upgrade and go to that for what to do next. And those rare components, they're the big, big thing that you gotta wait for. I'm finding that a lot of my rare components are now coming out of quests. When I look at quests, I'm finding that rare components are now appearing in quests far more often than I even farm them when I'm farming with all of my marches all of the time. I still randomly will bump into like a gray meteorite or a green meteorite, and that'll be worth so many more rare pieces than all of my farming combined. The second thing is that the game really expects that Arbiter chests drop the rare Arbiter with a low chance, and Sentinel chests drop the Sentinel rare with a low chance, and the Winged Assassin chests drop the Winged Assassin rares with a low chance. But where you get these chests actually changes set by set. Winged Assassin is the easiest one to get. You actually get Winged Assassin chests from every Sea Devil you kill. And you get them at a curve. You get 1 Winged Assassin chest per level 1 you kill. You get 2 Winged Assassin per every level 2 you get. I believe you get 5 from every level 3 Sea Devil. Then you get 15 from every level 4 Sea Devil. And you actually get 50 from every level 5 Sea Devil. Now, it's not super easy to kill those Sea Devils. You look at my other videos for how to kill big monsters. But what that means is you can, for the first time, effectively farm a type of gear and actually get the rare components if you get lucky with these chests. And that's a normal way to get them. Now, in this case, I just opened some, and what did I get? Hey, I got a rare piece. The rest of this shit doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's just chances at Skystones, Vorpal Steels, and Swift Silks. And every little bit matters. So the chests are a way you can get it. Arbiter chests, you can't farm. You realistically can never farm them. But Arbiter chests, and especially Sentinel chests, because you can't directly farm them, and you're not going to get them from monster kills, and you're not going to get them from monster lairs, they are loot rewards, or they're quest rewards from all sorts of events. So you're going to just kind of stumble upon Sentinel chests and Arbiter chests more often than anything else. Again, here's a rare. That's a pick. This is a sort of rare. It's possibly totally rare, I just happen to have a bunch. So that's a second pick. So out of 10, I got 2 bits. Now again, a level 1, it's going to take a long time to get to a legendary. But when you had enough for a blue, that's a major upgrade for you. Arbiter chest, this is big, right there, bam. That's a level 2 rare. That's actually something. And then there's another level 1. So again, that's 3, actually a level 2 and a level 1. That's if you want to consider every one worth, 1/4 of a 2, that's like 2 1/4 Coeurl Whisker, 2 1/4 level 2 Coeurl Whiskers. But it adds up. It just keeps adding up. So if you're not talking about just buying your gear in packs, that's the way you're going to eventually get the rare component. You're going to get it from quests. You're going to get it from those chests. And then the third major way you get them is through this Proving Ground. As you level up the Proving Ground, it keeps unlocking another set and another set and another set. And I am going to take a minute and do a full Winged Assassins dungeon clear for you, and I'll show you how this works. It's 90 of these things, wherever they are. They're not elixir. Elixir's the rare one. It's ether. You need 90 ethers. 90 ethers per hit. And obviously, if you buy a pack of ether, you're going to get a ton of ether. But basically, you're going to go into this dungeon, and every time you hit this monster, you're going to get some minor rewards, like you always do. And after you kill him, you'll move on to the next monster. And when you get to the boss is going to drop like a bigger piece of loot. Like here's a creme brulee boss. Now notice, you can get the rare components all along. That's the Skystone, that's the Swift Silk. Within each dungeon, you'll slowly start accumulating what you need. And when you beat the bosses, you have a chance for the rares. Okay, we're back. So this is where you can also get rare components, and it's just sort of a thing of the more energy you want to pay, or ether you want to pay, the more you're going to slowly accumulate those components. And the big point is that I don't know how many monsters it takes, but you'll get to like a boss 1, a boss 2, a boss 3, and then you'll get to like a big boss. Even this is just a boss 2. And he'll give you a piece of gear, he'll give you a little treasure chest, but it's probably not the rare, which is why it's worthless. Alright, we're going to continue this video with a boy. Okay? So, you'll get a component, but it won't be the rare component, and so it's worthless. Because at this point, I already have, 12 legendary Basilisk plumages, and no legendaries of the rare piece. So you don't care about this. So it's kind of just there to like pretend there's a reward. I guess if you were just doing the dungeon as your way to get your gear, that would be a piece you also need. But it's not realistic that that's what's going to hold you up. And then when you get the big boss at the end, this is boss 3, this isn't him either. It'll say like Mega Boss or something. He'll have a guaranteed rare. And so again, I don't know how many times you will see that. None of the rares. None of them are even rares. So none of this is going to do much except the little nickel and diamond grays. This will slowly add up. And then the big boss at the end of the loop. And the cycle just loops. It's just, how much ether does it take to get that rare component. And I believe I've done this 3 times now, and it's always a blue. See, final boss, Jumbo Creme Brulee. So he takes, 15 hits or something? And we'll see what he gives us. And if it's not a rare, I'll be shy. It should be 3 different blue rares or something like that. And lo and behold, 3 different blue rares. So you're required to get a level 4 blue of a rare component when you beat the loop of the set dungeon. I'll try that again right now for Arbiter, and I'll see what Arbiter does. And actually, we might be underway. We might be closer than I think to getting the loop done. But again, when you go to the Arbiter dungeon, it might be slightly different basic loot because they might have different rares, but they don't matter. None of it matters. All that matters, again, is those rare components. So these are different normal loot, but you would have gotten that normal loot anyway. And I did see a Meteorite go by, so again, you're getting rare loot, but of a different type of rare loot. But in a way, this is all worth doing because you do get gems, you do get experience, you do get things. It's not like you're wasting your points. You do get some speed ups, but the rewards are generally all crap, except maybe Proving Ground shards because you do need thousands of those for the research. But this seems so far to be exactly like the Winged Assassin. You're getting a bunch of blue that doesn't matter to you because it's not rare. Okay. We're back. I sneezed. You're getting blue gear of the not rare. And then when you get to the final boss, the Jumbo Flan, you're again a Coeurl Whisker, that's rare. Meteorite, that's rare. But they're just grays. So it's like 1/256th of a legendary. It takes a lot of grays to add up and matter. And now, I'll bet you just like before, it's going to be 3 different rares, and you get one randomly, and lo and behold, Meteorite, Prismatic shard, Meteorite. The third one being the Coeurl Whisker. So it's just exactly like the Winged Assassin dungeon, and I'll bet you the Sentinel's gear dungeon just like that too. But none of that, unless you want to go to finish off a certain piece of gear, the next major trick is that you should be making a set of blue combat gear, filling in all the gaps, right? And when you're done with that, like in this case, you say, hey, I'm well underway. You should start making purples, and you should definitely start making purples for a very specific reason. Because 1, in the hyper late game, there is a Mythic Forge. You could hypothetically someday upgrade these to legendary. 2, everything is stalled on the rare material. Waiting for 4 copies of a purple of the rare material will take ages. And in my opinion, when you finally get 1 copy of the purple of the rare material, you should just go ahead and use it. You're 80-90% of the way, of the strength of the gold. In the hyper late game, you can even upgrade it to gold if that matters to you. But even if you were to then redundantly make the gold after, you've now spent 5 of the rare component instead of 4. It's only 20% more. So you're raising your costs by at most 20%. And that's if you don't use the Mythic Forge to upgrade it. But the real reason you definitely want to make purple is because when you go, like let's say these boots, right? I actually made the purple Winged Assassin, but let's say we were going to make the purple Arbiter set, and I'll show you exactly why. Again, there is a research right here in crafting called Loot Crafting Luck. Now, you can only get this to 9 out of 10 without packs. To get the 10th out of 10, you need crafting speed 10. To get crafting speed 10, you have to go all the way through this crap that all costs crafting scrolls. But you don't need that to get this to 9 out of 10. So everybody needs to get this to at least 9 out of 10. And it says plus 1% each way to a total bonus of 9%. Now, I don't know how this calculates. I have some guesses it's not a raw 9% upgrade. But let's just assume There is such a thing as crafting luck. There is that 9%. And when you go to craft, let's say we're making the boots. This is that thing that we were going to potentially upgrade. We're going to make a piece of gear to fill that gap in. And if I was ready for Winged Assassin Sandals, or if I was ready for Arbiter, or if I was ready for Sentinel, I would get it. And when you go to make it, you're going to be filling in all the gear with Legendaries except for the rare components. You're only going to be putting in 1 purple of the 2 rare components. So right here, you can manually make sure that you're only putting in purples. And then when you go to craft it, you actually have a percentage of getting a full piece of Legendary anyway. And this is not an insignificant chance. It's 16 on the surface, and then there's a 9% crafting luck, which I think it's hard to know exactly how that calculates, but maybe you have a 20% chance of getting a Legendary piece of gear out of 2 purple rare components. If that happened with 20% chance, or 16% chance even with no crafting bonus, you would have effectively spent 2 rare purples and gotten 8 rare purples out of it. And since everything in crafting is stalled on the rares, it's just free. It's probably actually more effective to craft 4 purples than to craft a single Legendary, because you're mathematically likely to get the Legendary faster by crafting them as purples. But I'm not going to go, okay, kid, okay. I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say you really should just craft your first purple piece in every slot long before you go for a Legendary in that slot, because what will be left over is you will have a full page of purple gear that's all really good. It doesn't really even matter what it is. In this case, I've got a piece of Arbiter, a piece of Winged Assassin, a piece of Arbiter, a piece of Arbiter, and this will probably be, and then I made a gold Sentinel, or made a purple Sentinel. So in this case, I actually failed my crafting chance almost every single time, but it's still the trick. It's the way to go. You make these purple, hoping for Legendaries, and you'll get so much more out of them, especially if you get the purple. But even if you don't, you're getting them at the 25% mark. You're getting the piece of gear, so you can go ahead and use the piece of gear the entire time. And in the long run, it'll be much easier to get that final piece of gear anyway. The last thing to say about it is that you can just buy gear. Oh, let's talk about the Mythic Forge. The Mythic Forge basically comes along and says, for every piece of gear, there's a set. So you can look at the set bonus of a piece of gear. I don't know an example right now. I think you have to click on a piece of Legendary gear to see the set details. And then when you have this entire set, all gold, even 3 copies of the artifact, if it's all gold, you'll get this set bonus globally as long as it's in your inventory. And it tells you right here, Mythic Forge 7. So this menu will actually let you upgrade your gear as well. But basically, that's the normal value of the Mythic Forge. The second value of the Mythic Forge is to upgrade your gear, but in order to upgrade a piece of gear to Legendary, which is all anybody cares about, you need to have the highest level of Mythic Forge. And to get that highest level of Mythic Forge, it's just going to take several packs. And it's not advice to say, wait till the late game and then upgrade your gear with the Mythic Forge, because you're going to spend hundreds of dollars in packs to get the Mythic Forge. Wouldn't the advice just be to then just buy the gear for the hundreds of dollars? Because you can buy some damn good gear packs. But bottom line, I'm not suggesting anybody put money in this game ever. So my advice really isn't to make purples because the Mythic Forge will make them gold. My advice is that you should be making purples anyway, because it's good enough, it has a chance of becoming purple, and effectively, if you wanted to then make a Legendary, you should just make more fucking purples and get that 20% chance to get a Legendary anyway, and you'll likely get it after 1 or 2 or 3 tries, and it'll still be cheaper than making the Legendary. So that's the second major culmination of crafting, is to get to this point where I'm at, where you didn't care about making a set, necessarily. You just cared about filling each slot with the best piece of gear possible, and the obvious 3 sets are going to be Sentinel, Winged Assassin, and Arbiter. And to compare them, the Winged Assassin is slightly better, but only on offense. The Arbiter is slightly worse, but happens all the time. And the Sentinel isn't offense, but it's defense. But its defensive benefit is so enormous that when you pepper a few pieces of Sentinel in, all you're doing is saying, all right, our army's just as good, we just take less damage. Well, then you just attack them again. So all three of those sets are fantastic, and you can mix and match them, and they mix and match gloriously well. So that's what you should be going for. All right, thanks, guys.